Hello, I'm Alan Gura, A-L-A-N-G-U-R-A, counsel for the petitioners. And with me here is Otis McDonald, plaintiff in the case, as well as Alan Gottlieb, head of the Second Amendment Foundation, and Richard Pearson from the Illinois State Rifle Association. I'm going to say a few words, so will the clients, and then I'll take questions. This morning, the court heard our case. We're very gratified that we live in a country where citizens can come before the court and hopefully get some relief against their state government, which is violating their rights. We were very encouraged by the way the argument went. We believe we have an incredibly strong case, and we look forward to the decision in June. Otis?
Thanks.
Why did you bring this?
Well, I didn't bring it actually. We brought it. And circumstances called for that at a time when it's needed to be heard. And we heard it, and our attorneys did a good job, and we're hopeful that it's going to end well.
What was the circumstance in your home and in your neighborhood that made you want to challenge the gun ban?
I was threatened, home broken into at least 3 times in a few years. Garage broken into just recently. I mean, that process is in working now. And this is across the city you go, you know, you'll be a victim of young drug dealers and owning illegal guns and stuff. You know, and that's, how can you even imagine that law-abiding elderly people like myself is going to be a danger to society when the young people running around with all these guns, they're the ones that's doing the shooting and killing and all that stuff. You know, those are the ones that need some discipline, but laws will not discipline them because they're illegal in the first place.
So this was you wanted a gun as a deterrent?
A deterrent, yes, at least. At least we need, we should have at least a deterrent, and I think that will give the would-be robbers or what have you something to think about when they get ready to break into the house on an elderly person.
How gratifying was it to have your arguments articulated today before the Supreme Court?
Very.
Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation.
I just want to say that it was an honor and a privilege for the Second Amendment Foundation to be able to fund the lawsuit for the plaintiffs in this case to help protect fundamental rights of Americans. Thank you.
Richard Pearson, Illinois State Rifle Association.
I want to thank our attorney for doing a great argument. It looks like we have a very strong case, and the citizens of Illinois will be well satisfied with the verdict.
Thanks. I'll take questions now.
How expensive do you want this? How expensive do you think the court's going to decide? How expensive do you want this to decide?
The court is going to decide, hopefully, that people in the United States enjoy all of their Second Amendment rights, not some diluted, some watered down, some shadow version of the right to keep bear arms, but really the entire right to keep bear arms. Now, of course, Chicago is still allowed to regulate guns in the interest of public health and safety, but when they do so, they need to make sure that they're aware that there is a fundamental constitutional right at stake, and they cannot go overboard and attack people's basic human rights. So, of course, we're not against all gun laws, but those gun laws which are designed only to make gun ownership expensive, burdensome, or impossible are going to fall by the wayside. Those which actually do achieve a public safety benefit, of course, are not going to be threatened by this. In the end of the day, I think we're going to have a lot more safety in America and a lot more freedom.
So given your argument, would it be reasonable to have a machine gun at a house to defend yourself in Chicago?
Our arguments today did not concern either machine guns or, in fact, the standard of review the courts will apply to. Sure. Our arguments today did not address machine guns or, in fact, did not address the standard of review that the court will apply. The court, I believe, made it clear, and I guess the opinion will show, that the issue today here is whether the state, the city of Chicago, whether they have to obey the right at all. And of course, future cases will arise where people will make claims, and those claims that are valid will be protected. Those which are not valid will not be. The Second Amendment is a normal part of the Bill of Rights. Not every First Amendment claim is a valid one, but many are. And the courts are here to sift through those claims and make sure that people's rights are asserted.
Mr. Guru, a lot of talk took place in the courtroom about how the justices could incorporate the Second Amendment. Explain, if you could, to the cameras, what difference it would make to your client how the justices go about incorporating the Second Amendment.
We would be very gratified if the court takes either of the two approaches to have the Second Amendment right to keep bear arms applied to the states. Whether the court uses the Due Process Clause or the Privileges or Immunities Clause, the outcome should be the same. We should be entitled to the same fundamental basic right that the framers of the 14th Amendment believed that they were guaranteeing for all time. Obviously, some members of the court believe that perhaps due process might be a way to water down that right. We do not agree with that. We believe that the Due Process Clause requires the full right be applied. But again, if the court believes that the Due Process Clause does not do the entire job of securing us, then we should do what the court also suggested, which is let's look at the text of the Constitution. The text of the Constitution actually is what controls here, and the framers of the 14th Amendment made it abundantly clear that no state shall make or enforce any law abridging the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States. That language is very clear, and it had a very solid understanding at the time that it was rounded up. Thanks.
Is there anybody here from Chicago?
One more thing. Otis is from Chicago. I would, however, like to take this opportunity to maybe introduce some of our friends. I believe I see Elizabeth Wider from the Constitutional Accountability Center. We were very gratified. Come here, Elizabeth. We were very gratified at the widespread support that we received in this case from across the ideological spectrum. Elizabeth Wider helped put together a fantastic brief with the nation's leading scholars that really pretty much took the position that the court should be applying the 14th Amendment as it's originally intended and understood. Elizabeth and I, we may not agree on everything all the time as to what the Constitution actually means, but we both share a deep concern that it should be applied. Elizabeth?
Absolutely. Thank you, Alan. As Alan mentioned, I'm Elizabeth Wydra, Chief Counsel of the Constitutional Accountability Center. In this case,